Hello, hello, and welcome to the Snide Show. I am your host, Cornelius Edward Snyder, otherwise known as Corey the Curator, and I am joined here today with...
Me, AC, the one and only.
Wowee. Boy, do we got a show for you today. A great entree to Season 3. Let's see here. It's been a minute. Excuse me.
That it has.
Excuse.
Plus, it's that season yet again where everybody dies from the inside out.
I thought that was every season there, AC.
It is. What are you talking about?
I'm here to talk about a bunch of stuff, but let's first get into a little slice of life here, man. As far as my shit's concerned, I am great. I am absolutely fantastic. I've met so many exciting people this past year. Between building the studio and Everscope multimedia work, WCPA, jail. Did I mention my studies and Snide Studios, the experiment to get back into all this jiggity jam? How you been?
I've been pretty good, pretty excellent. Good news for those who have tuned in before. I did go blind in my left eye. I am no longer blind in my left eye. I can see.
I see.
Then, of course, been working on a little bit of this and that, some writing, a lot of musical stuff, more so on the musical side since we're doing the hiatus while you're working on school and developing more in the studio stuff. But, of course, we've been writing.
Yeah, we've been writing so much, and man, that music you've been putting out, dude, if anyone is not following Yes That AC on freaking Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube music you've been blowing up, man, like all that shit, dude. Yes That AC, fucking Disarray Audio, that the fucking collector you've been working on, man. It's so freaking exciting, dude. This guy's been putting out, man, like fucking once a week, twice a week. Just, I don't know, man. I'm sorry. I'm just like, dude, like this. It deserves all the attention. He's been doing just this amazing experimental music where it's like, all these different layers and different and high production sounding stuff. It's hard to believe you've mainly been using like Linux based stuff. Like it is so hard to believe.
Most of it's just basic Audacity, and then literally I use this setup right here in this microphone to record all of my vocals.
Yeah, he's great at cleaning up that sound. Like he can clean up that sound and it sound pristine, like it was like recorded on some Shure or something, Yummy. All right, man.
You sipping on some of that there whiskey, sir?
Actually, no, sir. Today I've just got a little cocktail I put together. It's this mermaid liqueur mixture I put together with lemon lime, Midori, simple syrup, and what else I put in there? I put a couple different kinds of rum, some vodka, something else I can't remember. And that's called Hawaiian Mermaid. Oh, pineapple liqueur.
Pineapple liqueur.
Then I mixed it up because I meant to just serve that on like some chopped ice, like a frozen margarita style. But dude, like it's very strong. It's very strong. So I actually mixed it with just some like fruit punch stuff. I'm just calling it mermaid punch.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Threw a bunch of crushed fruit in there, crushed berries.
Wow.
we are blessed. We are blessed in this time to be able to pursue this art we got, you know, and you know, it's amazing stuff. It's amazing stuff. But, you know, shoot. Sorry. Before we were talking, we got all up in a tizzy over a couple of different things. Let me just make sure everything is monitoring. Test your audio again real quick. Test your audio again real quick.
Just double checking, making sure everything is working just fine for you today.
Excellent, sir. I think everything looks good. It's so hard for me to say. It's so hard for me to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anywhoozle. And also, I just can't stop. I'm sorry, folks. I can't stop thinking about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. We both, I think, got a little late to it. You know, it just came up on the Disney Plus. I saw it at the end of the theatrical run, and I'm a little behind on Kenobi. I'm a little behind on Miss Marvel. Both excellent shows. Again, we're just blessed to be living in a time, even though there are a lot of bad things going on, which we'll get to eventually. It's going to be a long night, folks. I hope you're all here with us. You know, but it's just checking the numbers. They're looking okay. They're looking okay. You know, we can live. We can live. So. I wish the chat was a little more lively. I'm not. The thing isn't available. Let me refresh it. Man, live chat in my OBS isn't working. Oh well. Let me just pop over real quick. Let me just pop over real quick. How's that? You like that?
Keep going. I was vibing.
Actually, I want to hear you continue that. Pick it back up where I did.
Give me one more smooth transitionable thing.
Let me pop over real quick. Let me just pop over real quick.
Oh, let me pop over real quick. Oh, let me pop over real quick. Oh, let me pop over real quick. Oh, let me pop over real quick. Said, let me pop over real quick. Said, let me pop over, yeah, let me pop over, yeah, let me pop over real quick. Did we find anything out, though?
Well, what was I looking for? I got so into that song.
Live chat.
I was just checking it out. It's looking okay. I said hello. And moving on. So
I said hello. And next topic was
Yes. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I got to the theaters late. I will say the theater was the way to watch it. Because the jump scares actually did read in the theater. Watching it at home, they were fun. They were fun as fuck, you know, but you know, I actually jumped in the theater a couple of times. You know, I think with the Marvel thing, it's so different from what you're used to that it's just like it's not really registering that way. But
yeah,
aside from that, dude, I mean, the sort of canonizing of Evil Dead style necro shit was just
that was really awesome.
Just like, you know, they made the remember my theory on WandaVision that the Darkhold was the Necronomicon, a version of the Necronomicon. And if you haven't checked it out, folks, Corey the Curator on YouTube, I did a video on the Necronomicon, and I connected all these dots of, like, you know, the different horror franchises and even some not horror stuff, and how it connected through this being like a Nexus book. Well, Marvel fucking gave Sam Raimi free reign, and I don't know whose call it was, but it fucking worked. Like a charm.
It did. It did. It really fit the storyline. Even down to, and I actually pointed this out while I was watching it, the fingers on the Scarlet Witch have the same deadite blackness to it that they had in Army of Darkness. And then, of course, if you read the comic books, most of the evil have that same feel down to that little detail. And I got goosebumps when I started watching it and saw all these little details from, the comics and stuff. I was just like, oh my God.
Dude,
my God.
That it's genius. It's genius. And so that leads me to think that it was actually someone at Marvel's call, because then it goes back to WandaVision, because Agatha Harkness, spoilers, who shows up in WandaVision, actually has the black fingers, like from the Darkhold, using the Darkhold. So maybe Multiverse Madness was already in production at that point, and someone on WandaVision got that call who was like, oh, okay, so that's a good production detail to throw in there.
It could be, because Marvel really likes to keep all that stuff really tight.
Yeah.
So that could very easily be the case.
Yeah, man. I love it, man. And I mean, there were some weird little things, I will say.
Like that fight scene with the musical notes.
I love that. I loved that so much.
I did not see that coming. That was 100% some like straight Evil Dead 2 type fighting I think I've ever seen in a Marvel movie.
You're right, because how corny it was. It was.
Yes.
It was.
But I personally loved it, but it was so weird.
And with the Danny Elfman shit, because Danny Elfman is good with that shit,
Yeah.
Like musical details and stuff. Oh, interesting. So when I'm screen capturing it, it actually doesn't let me go like full screen image or to the websites that, oh, you can still hit the link and go to the website. Kind of? Okay. Oh, this is some old news. This is some February 2021 news.
Oh, that's more than a year ago.
That's ancient, man. That's ancient. So,
yeah, especially when you talk about the world of media.
That's the name of the game, man. That's the business we're in, Jack.
Listen here, pal. The only thing you're leading is Jack and shit. And Jack left town.
That's right. That's right. So, yeah. So those are some of the highlights of life. I have to say, just real quick, another thing that got me into a tizzy, just because having a family in the medical field and being in Southwest Virginia where education is low, and trigger warning, folks, seriously, like if you don't want to hear anything dark, you've had enough fun, you've gotten to listen to our theme a couple dozen times, and then you got to hear some laughs and some good pop culture stuff. But I would just be remiss if I didn't mention this, because it's like in this area there's a lot of CSA, childhood sexual abuse, and a lot of like uneducated populations, and a lot of like sort of high rates of like health issues around here. And just being topical here, so we're already I guess getting into some topical punch here. We stand with the Roe v Wade ruling from the 1970s and find it disturbing for a lot of reasons that it's been overturned. And just such a wild ruling at the behest of half a dozen people. You know, it's just kind of, the health stuff aside, it's just a very bizarre state that we see things in. And we've been quiet as a network about a couple of heavy things. But that was, it's just kind of like whatever little platform, couple hundred people that hear this, like, look, guys, like, be ladies, obviously, like, everybody, just be a little thoughtful, about the state of things right now, and do everything we can within and outside of the system right now to kind of make a stand, you got anything, Jack?
Well, the whole thing, and I keep a soapbox under my bed, not just to stand on when it comes to stuff like government and my opinions on this and that, but I'm pretty short, so it helps with that. But my thing on it, this is already infringing on rights, human rights, and the whole, like, everybody, no matter who you are, you're always talking about your rights. Well, this right here is one of those things that's going to prove straight up that your rights are pretty much a facade and that they can be taken away at any point in time when not even just the government decides, but when they pass that off to someone else to make that decision. Well, we're making the decision for the greater good, for the better of mankind. Well, no, you're not. You're making a decision that's basically going to cause an uproar. It's going to cause an uproar, and then you're going to go sit back and watch it happen.
That's right.
That's more or less what I think has happened in this particular scenario, just like with the whole gas thing. Everyone wanted to be, well, if it weren't for Joe Biden, this whole gas. Well, but Joe Biden doesn't control the gas prices. That's right. Big corporations. So you can't. I mean, you can blame him for other things. Sure, there are plenty of things you can. That's not one of them. But people always want to pick and choose that one thing. It's just like they're never gonna get rid of guns. So what's the one thing they can go after? Something that they think, well, this is minuscule. Well, it's not, though. It's still, in my opinion, just as big of a deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, again, it's dependent on who you've got behind that hammer to pull the trigger.
That's right. That's right. Man, and we'll get back into that gun thing here in a second because I have an interesting allegory coming up, as you know. So on that note, I'm going to switch over for a second back to we'll be right back, and we'll come back with some more topical punch, some hopefully more fun topical punch. Yeah, I just said we had to plant that flag, and I'm, this is definitely going to be clipped just on its own to be like, look, guys, like, I'm happy that I uncorked AC over here. He went off on like a couple other things I wasn't even related to that, but I stand by it. I stand by everything he said as well so far, and my views are even more leftist. So we'll it's kind of fun sometimes to get into this stuff, but this is a terrible reason to uncork this. But you know what? It's got to be uncorked. Whatever platform we have to use to like educate folks and what little we can. For the most part, I don't want to go out of our way to make stands, but in the past we've talked about whether or not to pull the trigger on certain subjects, and we've usually decided against it, for not to be controversial. But at this point, everything's like controversial. And
yeah, I mean, but here's the thing, if you don't take a stand on it, that's controversial. if you take a stand on it, well, so was that. Yeah. It's honestly, if you don't say anything about it, well, you didn't say anything about it, so you must be in support of it. People are going to make an assumption.
Yeah.
You know, so it's,
yeah.
If you don't, you don't make your stand or you don't support your own decision, then, it's basically turning a blind eye.
That's right.
Honestly, nobody's turning a blind eye to anything. You have your opinions, you just don't voice them.
That's right. So Black Lives Matter, LGBTQIA, whatever you identify as, we stand with you as long as you're not hurting anybody. And socialism is my own personal thing. That's not something I'm going to put on the platform, but if you've been paying attention to my platform, I'm associated with the WCPA, a very, what people would characterize as leftist. It's so far outside of the system. And honestly, it does still leave room for certain regions to, do, what is culturally right to them. But at any rate, I'm a fucking socialist. There, I said it.
You're a socialist, are you? I knew there was something I didn't like about you, boy.
I'm also bisexual. We'll be right back. Topical punch, topical punch, topical punch.
Oh, topical punch, topical punch, topical punch, topical punch.
Excellent. My fingers are about to fall off. Welcome back to the Snide Show. We're here getting into some topical punch. Yeah, man. Really some interesting news today, starting off with something it kind of triggered me a little bit. Not as bad as what we got into a little bit ago, which I won't bring back up, but yeah, like it's kind of left me like a little lost. I don't really know what to think about it. So first of all, the main thing before we even get into it, the name of the story is from WSLS, who did some great reporting, well, not great, but some good reporting earlier today, being rather fair. But this, they were not very fair on. I feel like what they did with this story was a lot of fear mongering, starting out with this weird little subliminal picture here. You see this picture?
Yeah.
It's not even in the real video. It's a weird little flash when you first start the video. So I don't know if that was a weird gaffe or if it's like some psyops or some shit. Where they're like,
well, I mean, it's not the first time the government has, stuck something in there subliminally. So
a little bit of that. Yeah. Just they kind of just popping on in there, all subliminal like. And first of all, marijuana is a slur. All right, this isn't some like PC bullshit or any like weird virtue signaling bullshit. This is just honestly, marijuana is a slur. All right, the cannabis used to be the scientific name. I think it's like the best name, honestly. I think it's a fitting name. Reefer was kind of a slur and was also used to kind of fearmonger back in the aughts, back in like the early 20th century. You can trace all the fucking cannabis propaganda. This is like used to be some like conspiracy shit, I'd say to people, but now it's more like kind of commonly held knowledge, at least for anyone who's educated on these things. But it was like a disinformation campaign because hemp was threatening a lot of industries at the time. And you know, so at the time they wanted to just a sweeping, just straight up, just get hemp, cannabis, indica, sativa, all of it out of here, you know, because, and then, you know, it was a lot of like racist shit where like they would say that, you know, people of color, you know, smoke reefer and they commit sex crimes and robberies and just crazy bananas, loco stuff. And it's, you know, when you continue this sort of rhetoric, you're a part of this shit. And for it to come from an NBC affiliate, it's just even more just annoying, where you're like, what are you doing, guys? Like, I don't know who owns this shit, but you know, just like so yeah. Now, you know, so that's, you know, my initial thing, and some of the data actually wasn't as sketchy as it looked initially. I did look into sources, and SAMHSA, well, here, let me just play this. Should I just play this real quick?
Yeah, just play it.
All right. Hopefully I won't get flagged. Just turn that volume down low.
And the Commonwealth.
Many people don't know this, but if you qualify for this new offer through Pink Energy, you could get paid over $2,500.
And the Commonwealth is cracking down on lookalike marijuana products that could end up in your child's hands. As 10 News reporter Lindsay Kennett explains, this comes amid a new study found about how frequently the drug is sending kids to the hospital.
What may look like a bag of Doritos or gummy worms could be laced with THC. Starting July 1st, copycat THC products like these will be illegal in Virginia. Attorney General Jason Miara is making the announcement Wednesday.
This is direct action, directly marketing products directly to our children.
This comes as a new study from SAMHSA, Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, found that marijuana is the leading cause of drug-related emergency room visits for kids under 18 years old.
We're already starting to see an uptick in those in the last couple of years as states around us and the District of Columbia have legalized.
Carilion Clinic Dr. Paul Stromberg says symptoms range from nausea and vomiting to anxiety, paranoia, and much worse.
So they were not able to walk balanced all the way up to being so somnolent or sleepy, and they had to have a breathing tube placed.
As the Commonwealth prepares to regulate and sell marijuana, Stromberg says the number of ER visits will likely rise.
While people say that, you know, marijuana overdose isn't fatal, that may be true, but there are certainly other things that can happen while you're under the influence that can cause some serious harms.
Nancy Hands is the executive director of the Prevention Council.
When perception of harm with youth around any substance goes down, then use goes up.
She says guardians need to educate themselves.
Marijuana is a psychoactive substance. You're going to want to treat any kind of medication like a firearm, keep it locked away so that kids don't have access to it.
Lindsay Kennett, 10 News, working for you.
I mean, what do you think about that, dude?
Well, that's a tough one. Because that seems to me that it's more of a regulation problem than it is, you know, because they're saying it's all underage, right? Essentially, that they're having issues with.
The Hyatt, and I checked out the data, and you know, at first and I will say with my own bias, being a medical user, you know, but always, you know me, I've always preached responsible use and shit like that. But I will say my bias, my own personal bias, initially I was like, I bet this data came from some sketchy, you know, it was like, you know, a tobacco firm or alcohol firm, which you do sometimes see putting out misinformation. Right. But SAMHSA is actually a very good resource, and they do things for women's health. They do things for children's health. They do things for substance abuse, like, methamphetamine use or addiction
Fentanyl.
and stuff. And yeah, all that stuff, which I'm down for, like, getting people help. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's, risk prevention and harm reduction and all that. That's part of what that's about. And the thing that I'm seeing, at least in that ad, because it's not as well detailed as I would have rather seen it, but of the detail that they did say is it's a lot of, kids under the age of 18. And, well, everything that they showed it's like it was designed purposefully to be that way. Like, what was it? Doritos, Funyuns.
So a couple of those looked like black market. A couple of those didn't look like you'd find them in, like you wouldn't, because they'd get sued by Funyuns or Dorito unless it's like, see, I've seen ones where it slightly changes the word or the packaging, and that's parody. But when you're straight up making it look like, that was kind of like, maybe that is bad. I don't know if it should be on public health money, or you know what I'm saying, or I don't really even see what they're exactly saying. Like you said, regulation. Yeah, kind of like they did with vapes, right? They did it with vapes.
Yeah.
Like, don't make this shit look like candy.
Yeah. But I will tell you this. Like, even the vapes that I use now, which I don't know if I can really get it. Like, I straight up tell you, it's called the Elf Bar. And the flavor of it is peach mango watermelon, but it tastes straight up like Bubblicious. I will tell you right now.
And 5 years ago, it would have looked like Bubblicious.
Yes. But right now, like this thing, it doesn't look like something a kid's going to have fun with. It really doesn't.
No. And my thing is, a lot of these people that you do see calling for regulations on this are the same people who will petition against, like, regulation of firearms. And freaking that's its own, like, discussion, right? Like,
yeah,
I mean, you've got, like, violent children's media that directly basically is like Raytheon or fucking Glock or someone being like, check it out, kids, look how fun it is to play with this 44, look how fun it is to play with this 50 caliber
bing,
automatic,
bang, boom.
And then again, a very small, and I don't think they should regulate that. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying put the shoe on the other foot, man. This isn't exactly apples and oranges. Maybe it's more like apples and pears, but it's a pretty good allegory for, like, okay, well, if you want to police that market, what about, should we, like, say if you show a gun in a movie, it should be rated R, like, like just like how you show a titty and it's a rated R, I mean, you can keep lining these things up and be like, look, guys, this doesn't make any sense. Like, this policing of social shit.
Yeah.
It don't work.
I mean,
and if you follow that line, it's going to get really dodgy, So that's all I'm saying, is be a little more thoughtful about that, and don't, like, fearmonger on this shit, but also, like, it's a competitive marketplace out there for these vices, and living in a world where meta humor and, fucking, like, it's just a no-brainer. They're going to do, another allegory, dude. And Beck said this earlier, dude. Look at alcohol, like, looking like soda pop, looking like,
I don't know if you remember, but there used to be a malt liquor back in the day that actually had a literal bottle nipple on the top of it.
I don't, man. I thought that was a joke, dude. That's so funny. I mean, also just tragic, but, like, I don't know, man. So that's my thing with that, where it's like, look, if you're going to draw this line, look at all these other lines you have to follow if you go that
well
way.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, even back then, like big tobacco, they, what was it? Camel came out with a string of candy that would look like their cigarette packs. And I mean, there's always been the candy cigarettes around here and there or whatever. And then they tried to change it up. Like, it still looks like, honestly, like a home rolled blunt, but it's a candy.
Yeah.
And what are kids going to do with that? Well, they see their parents are smoking. So, I'm going to pretend to be smoking too. Well, guess what? That already implants a psychological thing in the mind, and it kind of predispositions you to, well, when you get older, you're going to start smoking.
That's
typically
so true.
in like 12 to 14 year range.
Yeah. We started like 15, 16. I mean, I think we even experimented before that with smoking and nicotine products, but and that bubble gum, packing in the jaw, and those candy cigarettes, and just kind of just a lot of things, like you said, like,
well, it's conditioning. That's what it is.
Yeah. So that's that, and so mainly that, and then just like, guys, stop with the fear mongering on shit. There is actual shit to be afraid of. There is actual like we were talking about earlier, police states and like shadow governments, and which we'll get into one day on here. There's only so many minutes in the night. So let's go ahead and move on to our next thingamajiggy bobby. Let's get into some science.
Some science.
Blinded me with science. Science.
Hey. Weird.
Yeah. Scientists translated a spider web into music, and it's utterly captivating. From Science Alert, it's one of my favorite freaking, like, oh my God, like, Science Alert, shouts out to you guys. We got 4 stories from you guys. This one's from Michelle Starr. What like, were you able to read this earlier?
The not in its entirety, but enough of it.
From Michelle Starr, and this is actually a couple months old. I've had some open tabs for a little bit, but this one I couldn't let go of, and we actually have some examples in here to listen to if we can get them to work and make these.
See, that would be much more exciting, just to see that part of it or hear that part of it.
Spiders rely quite significantly on touch to sense the world around them. So they're basically operating on this hypothesis that perhaps there is some way to communicate or manipulate spiders through reading their webs and seeing if there's some information we can glean from that.
Yeah.
Time to repress another memory.
That's some like intense, almost like half trance like stuff.
Holy shit, man.
Watch out!
Oh, fuck. That fucked me up, man.
I can't take it no more!
What do you think about that?
It's like like those short American animated what was the name? There was one of them in particular, like the ballerina shoes, and there's no words, and the entire thing, it's just me. I think they did one with Narnia as well, if I'm not mistaken, but it's literally just like a musical piece with like semi-moving images.
Yeah.
That is what this reminds me of.
Wow. You know what it made me think of? You played Minecraft, right?
Yeah.
The freaking the records you find in that game. Did you ever listen to one of the records?
No.
You can craft a jukebox and you find records and you play them there, and some of them are nice, but some of them are like spooky like that. Are you ready for another one?
It's probably going to remind you of like when you find those found footage videos on YouTube.
Oh no. If we listen to them all, does something happen?
Oh God, I don't know. Next thing you know, everything's going to go black for a second, and next thing, the room is going to be full of millions of spiders, and they're all just going to be staring. Like that roach dude from, what was it, Powerpuff Girls?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man, that was a creepy ass show sometimes.
Oh, the Powerpuff Girls, yes.
Yeah. So sonification is this process. It's this process where you take things and break them down into data and have that data broken into music, using code and what have you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you fucking put it into a computer and fucking, so let's listen to another one. Oh, this is a 9-minute thing. Yeah, that's a little much right there. In VR?
Yeah, that's what I was just looking at. Interesting.
Ew. He's like all up in a web, I think. Ew. See, I don't like the noise stuff, That's like Death Grips. I only like the hype tracks, I can't really get into the noisy stuff because it's a little too like, ugh. But this is fascinating. And the ones where it's like more like an actual song, I find that more interesting. But it's sonification, man. That's an interesting thing.
Yeah, the concept is really interesting.
All right, so let's move on to the next story. I think we have another biological story here. This one was a little more. I kind of wanted to just read it on air. I didn't read this one ahead. Everything else I read ahead.
Oh yeah.
Another one from Michelle Starr. Michelle Starr does some good biological stories. Scientists described a dinosaur's butthole in exquisite detail. I love the word usage there. Exquisite detail. When a dog-sized Psittacosaurus was living out its days on Earth. It was probably concerned with mating, eating, not being killed. The other things, humans, and other critters of all sorts and amounts of legs do 120 million years ago. Publishing in 2021. I'm sorry, I'm trying to read ahead here. Whoa. That's explicit detail of a non-avian dinosaur's the cloaca. The cloaca. Of course it's a cloaca.
Remember when I said cloaca earlier? And you were like, huh. Now it all comes together, doesn't it?
You're a genius, AC. You're a damn genius. Yeah, so they reconstructed it from I reckon a fossil that preserves skin and color patterns. Look how that fossil really grips that arse right there.
I see that.
Very nice.
It's very intently too, and quite detailed, especially for a fossil.
Look at that. Right there. I didn't put any farts on my soundboard, and I regret it.
There's always room for... Yes, perfect.
Go!
So, let's see here. We found it doesn't look very different. Well, I could have told you that. A dinosaur's cloaca and a chicken's cloaca, alligator's cloaca. The Citosaurus, they all got the same cloaca. That's nice.
Well, they're all reptilian. So,
that's nice to know. Paleontologists, I know there's a lot going on out there, but you're doing the real Lord's work out there, So let's get out of all this biological crap. I dropped out of biology for a reason. And let's get into what I should have gotten into.
You mean you didn't like getting into the butthole?
The butthole part was interesting, but there's really not a lot of money in the butthole, unless you're talking human butthole. Human butthole's the only butthole where there's money, proctology, there's a lot of money in that. I'm not willing to go there. I want the fossilized asshole, I want maybe even the genes of what's going on with the asshole. If I could have, cured IBS genetically, that would have been my thesis, But honestly, right. I'm too close to the issue. You can't be that close to the issue if you're going to get into that work.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Something about that. I don't know. So yeah, I should have gotten into Quantumania.
Yes. See, now this is going to be lots of fun.
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. Before we get too far into Quantumania, let's get into what's the audio version of that?
The audio version?
The audio version of Quantumania. If you were to take Quantumania and put it into like audio,
Digital drugs?
Indeed. Digital drugs. Oral drugs. Not oral drugs. Oral drugs. You know what I'm saying? From Mike McRae. Humans really like to get fucked up, basically, is what he's saying here. And
yes, and a very long-winded, more detailed, less humanistic approach.
Yeah.
At describing it. Because you got to write an article, so it's got to be.
That's right, man, because freaking... I don't know, dude. So we're going to try some of these. What do you think about that? You want to try some of these drugs here?
Audio drugs. Well, I guess what's the difference between that and meditation?
That's an interesting point. That's an interesting point. Yeah, this is all natural, dude. This is all natural. Here, let me get my special YouTube, so that we don't got to deal with the advertisements. The only kind of advertisements that we want here, tell them.
Our advertisements, jokes, things that are plugged in via not stupidity or trying to mass sell something.
I like that. Unless we're getting paid for it.
Oh yeah, well of course.
If we're getting paid for it, we'll hawk quite a few things with a little bit of ethics.
Of course.
So let me look up some psychedelic binaural beats. Ooh.
Well, that caught you off guard, didn't it?
Did you hear that?
I did.
Nice. Okay. All right. We got a snag.
A snag?
A bit of a snag.
While he gets his headphones ready, we shall conversate about absolutely nothing, because that's what we will do. That's not what we always do, but when we do it well.
We do it smell. I turned it down a little bit on my end. I don't know if that's going to affect your end, but this is a 3-hour video, so I think it'll be all right.
Okay.
In case you need to turn it up.
Understand how it works.
Oh, what are we supposed to do?
You just sit there and let it happen.
Are we too distracted?
We'll let it flow a little bit, and then I'll have a little convo about what it says and elaborate.
How much longer?
How much more do we have to go through?
What?
Firing squad electric chair, it's all the same to me. Huh?
I will tell you this, I can feel it going down my spinal stem into my lower back.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I mean, I'm getting some weird things. Like, I'm all gritty and, like, I'm kind of tingling.
I will explain it.
I don't.
Time.
I don't. I don't.
Alright, I'm gonna meditate a little bit. Let me get a little squeeze. droning it talks about.
Yeah.
Like,
so
honestly, I'm feeling more tense in my back, though.
Yeah, that's what I was saying when it's going down your back. You'll feel it hit the bottom of your spine, and then it'll be like a pressure pushing on the base of your spine.
I don't know if that's good.
Probably not, but I can explain why it's doing it. After so long, you probably end up getting a headache too.
This one's a little different. This one's giving me a little ASMR. Oh yeah, I feel it on the back of my head. A little ASMR on this one. out to Pure Beat Entertainment that made this one. Healing music for your body, mind, and soul. Did you get that, Adam? Come closer.
What?
Come closer. Did you get that? Did you hear me? I said the first one was healing music for your body, mind, and soul. And this one is Pure Beat Entertainment.
Oh, Pure Beat Entertainment, of course, yes.
It's pretty interesting, man. It's pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, when you stop it, it's like standing at the ocean.
I did kind of like now I'm more aware of like my face than I was before. Like suddenly, like I'm feeling everything in my head more.
So that's the difference in the hertz that are going in your ears. So one side delivers 400, the other one was it 420, 440, 440 hertz. Oops. Oh, I didn't even catch that. It was silly me. But yeah, so what happens is when the two hertz meet in the center of your skull, it causes your brains to start firing off different neurons. But see, the thing about it, it only works if you're wearing headphones that deliver both a left and right.
Oh.
Whereas if it's just an ambient sound, it doesn't work the same way. It is just a 400. Well, it's just the 450 that you're going to be getting because it's going to be going on both sides of your brain. So you won't get the same effect as you would with headphones.
Wow.
Yeah. And the reason you feel it going down your spine is because it's vibrating your brain down through your spinal column.
And it's all like,
Hey, motherfucker!
yeah.
Yeah. Ain't it some serious stuff?
Yeah. I'm down, man. Yeah, well, we should experiment with that one day. Make note of that if you got some notes around or something. Cuz I may not remember that. No, I'll probably go through my YouTube history and I'll be like, "Oh yeah, binaural beats. We need to find some of those headphones." But I'm a broke ass editor right now, so I can't be buying new headphones. I almost smacked them, but I was like, "This is the best I got," you know. You don't want to, for any amateurs out there, you don't want to smack your headphones. Isn't that right?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't advise that you do. I mean, you even if you want to, I just wouldn't.
Yeah. Yo, when I was a little kid, I took my mama's stethoscope and I fucking and I couldn't hear for like a week or something.
And then how'd you feel?
I mean, I don't really remember anything after that, you know.
Damn. I fucked you up, kid.
So did. Yeah. So back to Quantumania. I mean, because this is a recurring thing. We've been following these stories on quantum shit for a little bit. I thought Michelle Starr just did biological news, but no.
Apparently she does. the time crystals as well.
I need to get that one on the soundboard too.
That would be a good one to have, especially for that moment. Would have been perfection.
But you know what? I got better. You know what? Read me back in. Read me back in on that one.
Read you back into the time crystals.
Physicists have just taken an amazing step towards quantum devices. So the too long, don't read of that, because I did read this one. They've been able to put a couple of different time crystals together, which is very difficult. They have to work with a lot of these subatomic, things. And this actually links with this next one, because time crystals are basically the synthetic version of what you see going on here. An ancient Namibian stone holds key to future quantum computers. This is basically the natural version of this. And basically what it does, this sort of technology does, it makes quantum computing possible via taking advantage of the fact of the Heisenberg principle, which is that you don't really know, like two of these subatomic particles, or a few of them, can be in multiple places at once, which just opens up the door to, right now, circuitry works with ones and zeros, on, off, and everything is built on that, including this fucking feed that you're seeing, all these little graphics and everything. Our computers that, utilize that shit is because we've been building on this code forever, And with time crystals, it gives you a bunch of places between zeros and ones somehow. I didn't really, I don't really understand a lot of this shit. We don't claim to be experts on anything we talk here. Look at the disclaimer on the site. It's everywhere.
Yeah. We just like a lot of shit.
Exactly. We're Renaissance Sims IRL, I don't know what you'd call that. So
handyman.
That's a good one. Beck said that on my card I should put Idea Man. I'm an Idea Man. We're Idea Man. That's the lazy version of the Kingsman. The Idea Man.
The lazy version?
Not really. Perfect. Not really. It's quite exhaustive work creating shit.
Well, yes. So
anyway, and there's a lot of things, shit's got to be super cool for this shit. It works at, these temperatures, and it's like, I think they bring in like colliders in at one point, those super colliders that smash things together like a bunch of Chris Farleys.
Yeah!
And then it fucking,
that's gonna leave a mark.
It into all these little particles that then you're like, well, and then now they used to be like, what are those particles doing? Now they kind of figured out, oh, we know what a lot of those particles are doing. They found the fucking God molecule or some shit. Or is that DMT? Anyway, and now they're like freezing them, and they're like, how are we going to make computers with this shit so we can, hopefully, find more ethical ways of getting this stuff? Because when you look into it, there's a bunch of fucked up shit like slavery and shit into getting these cell phones made and computers made and shit, which is why I'm holding out until they figure this shit out, until I upgrade my system again. I'm like, RTX graphics, hold up. Can I edit a video and watch YouTube at the same time? I'm good. So, although with finding this kind of shit, this Namibian stone, I was a little bit like, in your mind, you want to think some Wakanda, some vibranium shit happened. I hope.
Right.
I hope that's how we got that. I hope.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not a blood time stone.
Oh, yeah, like a blood diamond.
Yeah. But with quantum. Most things quantum makes cool. Nothing makes that cool.
No.
So, bringing it back up, the last bit of Topical Punch I have for tonight, before we get really kooky, I'm super excited about this. As a fanable, let me make sure I got all the previous points.
Previous points. This the battery?
I missed some good lines there. Hold on, let me go back. I'll edit this back together. We don't really have. Oh, let's see. Basically, with this kind of shit, what you're seeing is the, a lot. We explain how quantum computers work, but these would basically be the pieces of what would be the CPU, the GPU, the battery. I think I lost a story here, actually.
I was wondering. I think there's something that seems like it's missing.
Yeah, it was the graphene power source. Oh, I didn't carry that tab over. Sorry, folks. What you're seeing is a show in progress. And when we clip this all up next week, I'll edit all this stuff out. Lost the story. My bad. Do you have it over there, dude?
No, that's what I'm saying, because I was reading the notes at the end, and there's the last one I have is the Nubian stone.
Well,
before it goes into
folks.
Pop culture.
I'm sorry, folks. I'm missing a big story here. Let me grab this real quick. On the next thing, I'm going to put like a disclaimer, like if you see this graphic for too long, like skip ahead.
Yes, wise, yes.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Here we go. I needed to do that. There you go. Get it.
It's that nighttime where it hits you right in the throat.
It's that nighttime. It's the right time.
I was thinking it's the nighttime blues.
Take it all back to the nighttime blues. So I had to do a little digging to get this one back. Scientists build circuit that generates clean, limitless power from graphene. So this would be kind of the circuitry in the battery, the twisted transistors of this fucking quantum machine. Sorry this didn't get put in the packet that I sent you, AC. I know you feel very vulnerable and very...
Oh, it's okay, because now I'm going to be learning with everyone else.
Every couple of years, you see this kind of claim that someone's figured out how to make a free energy. This isn't necessarily free energy, but it's clean, limitless, low voltage power. So we could put this in like sensors and cell phones and cameras and like things that you would put like a little lithium battery in now.
Right.
You would put this like graphene battery or kind of hybrid graphene battery. They're saying that it's like super thin. They did this one thing where they put it on like they had some like suction cups or something. Like they held it up like it was like a damn windshield, but it was like paper thin shit. And like they did it somehow. They like, made, I'm not going to bore everyone with too much, all the particulars and stuff. Shouts out to Paul Debato, who's developed these chips here. Again, I don't super understand this stuff. Again, it requires like, let's see, reduces the circuit at low frequencies. It's important in technological perspective because electronics function more efficiently at lower frequencies. So you're always like blowing a battery out and shit like that. It combats that kind of thing. But I think it does require, it's another one of those things that kind of, requires like super low temperatures or something. But yeah, man, shouts out to...
So you leave that thing out in the sunlight for too long and it's fucked.
Dude, I get afraid to leave my camera in my car longer than 10 minutes. Like,
because then it'll be fucked, especially with that battery.
Dude, I've been like out in the yard like tanning and shit, man. Or at least trying. I mean, I've been out there burning and shit. But dude, like I like to bring my fucking cell phone out there to listen to like music and shit while I'm out there like doing my yoga, doing my shit, And I'm always having to move it over into the shade more and more, like as the shade moves, like because if I don't, it'll get that like hot warning,
Temperature warning. Your shit's about to die.
That's what it ought to say, because now I'm like charging my shit 3 times a day.
Yep.
So shouts out to the University of Arkansas, the Technology Ventures Division. Excuse me. This motherfucking mermaid punch is getting to me.
Making you a little Swayze.
Yeah. All right. Cut back to pop culture. Coming from Screen Rant, the ever popular, everybody loves Screen Rant,
Of course, I love Screen Rant.
Right up there with comic book news, Looper. Excuse me, man. This is what happens when it starts getting late.
Yep.
But I am a lifelong fanable, at least since I've discovered Silence of the Lambs back in the day. Probably way before I should have been watching that. And, I love Anthony Hopkins, obviously. I love everything he's done.
Yes.
Mads Mikkelsen, he's kind of my Hannibal. Like, ever since I saw the first episode, dude, he owns it in a different way. Like, it's not even really comparable. It's like, it would be like comparing.
Oh yeah, it's a different Hannibal, but it's his Hannibal.
Exactly. It's like comparing Christian Bale and Michael Keaton. It's like they're different things,
Yeah.
And you go back and watch those old Hannibal movies. Now they're about as campy as that like Batman movie, that first one, or maybe the second one. I wouldn't go as far as to say they're as campy as like Forever or Batman, and Robin or anything, but it's pretty campy shit. Like, Gary Oldman's performance in the Hannibal movie, wonderfully scary shit. But you look at their version of Margot.
Mm-hmm.
it's silly that she's like this like kind of bodybuilder. I mean, I guess that's kind of how they describe her in the book. You know, the books, you know, I wish I committed more to memory, but it didn't really grasp as much, except for the parts that I was kind of like comparing to the movies or what stood out as not being the same, which, you know, they're excellent reading material. This show captures something different. Once again, it's kind of a multiverse thing because the timelines moved up. There's not so much like the weird World War II. I mean, not weird, but there's not as much as the World War II background on this. They take the first chapter of Red Dragon and they drag it out over 2.5 seasons, and then they take Hannibal, pieces of Hannibal, the flashbacks, and they put them up there in like the first couple seasons, and then they take like bits of the middle and pull them up, and rather than them being with Clarice, they're with Will Graham. Some of these moments, or the way I retconned it, and again, I did a video of this on Corey the Curator on my YouTube. It could be interpreted that some of the events kind of happen again, like where like perhaps the scary I can't remember his name, Verger.
Verger, yeah.
Mason Verger. Perhaps Mason Verger survives what happens in that, because he just gets drowned in a pool with eels, and before that happens, he's not as fucked up as he is in the events in Hannibal with Clarice later. So and then in that, he definitely dies because he like got ate by pigs in that. So it could be that some of this shit kind of happens again, like Mason catches him again years later. They don't specify that, you know, whatever. That's my own headcanon because I have to make everything make sense.
Right. Yeah, of course. It's a great way to stay in shape.
I've been waiting for that all night. It's been 2.5 hours and I've been waiting for that line. I almost used it once. But everybody gets one.
Everybody gets one. Tell them, Spider-Man.
Apparently, everybody gets one. So, that show was cut too short. And there was some rights things going on. I can't remember exactly the companies, but NBC had rights to everything from Red Dragon and Hannibal, except for things containing Clarice. A different company owns the rights somehow to just the Clarice parts of all the stories.
How odd.
And I know this is like a real like Spider-Man Venom situation or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like how does this exist without this? Somehow they made this work better than Venom, in my opinion. Just in my humble opinion. So they did a failed pilot for or maybe they got through a season or two on Lifetime or whatever Lifetime became, just about Clarice, as I think an in-between cool of Silence of the Lambs and Hannibal, but somehow they dance around all the Hannibal of it all. How do you do that?
Odd.
That's like doing like a Romeo show and a Juliet show. Like what?
Yeah, without them ever making reference to the other one. That's weird.
What are y'all doing, Hollywood? What are y'all doing? Let Brian Fuller take control. Look, every great thing of the last like 10 or 15 years has been Brian Fuller. Prove me wrong, IMDb.
Oh, yeah, and now there's all that stuff about the Elvis movie coming out. Not quite sure how I feel about that just yet.
Kevin Smith's mom really likes it. She's apparently a big Elvis lady, like fangirl. So Star Trek Discovery, American Gods, which I actually haven't gotten around to, but it's my understanding that it's very good. But yeah, Star Trek Discovery is amazing. Hannibal, Heroes, amazing. Pushing Daisies. Didn't you like Pushing Daisies? Someone we knew did.
Yeah, I don't think I watched Pushing Daisies. I don't think so.
Dead Like Me.
That I love that show. That's the Grim Reaper show.
Star Trek Voyager, Deep Space Nine.
And even
I swear he did even more than this. Sorry, say that again.
I was gonna say, even when that show did end, they wrapped it up with a movie that worked.
Nice. Yeah, so it's like, at least let him come back to do a movie. At least.
Yeah.
Yeah, so not as much. I swear I thought he did more than that. But anyway, I mean, that's still a pretty darn good run. Who's the one? This is going to be embarrassing. Who does American Horror Story?
That's actually a grand
Ryan
question.
Murphy.
Okay.
He's a great one too. If you haven't, check out American Horror Story. But I will be the fool, and I'll admit I conflated the two, and I'm very embarrassed about it now. I could have brushed it under the rug, but what did I do?
Well,
I made you uncomfortable.
You did. And
have you watched any of the Hannibal show?
Yeah, I've watched some of it. I haven't got to finish it, but I have watched some of it. My mom is actually a big fan of it.
I bet I know she liked the old stuff.
She did.
She was a Hopkins. I don't want to, play, this isn't my ego speaking. I'm just speaking from my memory. I think I may have recommended that show to her.
Could be. I could see that being the case. But
so,
speaking of, I just made a connection that I hadn't made till just now. But he is also in the new Fantastic Beasts movie.
Oh, is he?
He is. He's Dumbledore's main adversary and love interest.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he's great in that. You know what? He's such a good fucking actor. I forgot that.
Mm-hmm.
And also, calling back to earlier at the beginning of the show, if you haven't watched the full show, go back and watch. If you're not watching this in the clip, just skip through like all the technical difficulties. Anywho, he was in the first Doctor Strange.
Yes, that's right. He was. As I recall, he was the main adversary in that as well.
That's right. He's a good damn villain. I feel like they could have given him a little more in that. I'd like to go back and watch the deleted scenes and see if maybe they intended more for him. But I've been hoping they'll bring him back somehow. I mean, it's fucking Marvel. You can bring anybody back.
Well, they're in the multiverse now.
That's right.
And as we all know, old Doctor Strange has got the. I was wondering when that was going to come into play too, by the way.
And I love they threw it in the end in a little jump scare where you're just like, oh, what is he? What's going on? What's
I do love how there was a lot of hype made about there being 3 end credit scenes. And that being one of them, of course, running into Clea. And then the very end, I love that they put Bruce in that. It's over.
Did they ever say what his name was?
Pizza Papa.
That's not his real name. You know what I think his real name was?
What do you think his real name is?
Ash. I think it was
Lee
a multiverse.
J. Williams.
Yep. I think
I'm going to tell you, if that's the case, and it leads into something super cool, like what I'm hoping it leads into,
dude, at least like an episode of What If, like where we just see the Marvel version of Ash.
I would be very happy. Even animated, I think I'd be very happy. Because, I mean, I understand Bruce he's retired the character. But he can still do voice stuff. He doesn't necessarily have to do anything physical for it.
That's right. I want to see like What If, but with Ash as the main character, and we're seeing like all the goofy comic book versions of shit, but with like, you know, him voicing the role obviously, and like, you know, a cool like do either that What If style animation, or even if it'd be cool if they did like that 90s style, like that X-Men 90s X-Men style, and have them cross over with a bunch of like whatever they can get the rights to.
Yeah, that would be so awesome.
Yeah. Do it on HBO Max, you know, who hopefully will bring back Hannibal, because the petition is calling for like different streaming services. And if you're not out there already, you know, and this is, you know, they're tying LGBT into this, which sure, because, you know, because, you know, I don't want to spoil it, but they do. This is a nice little, you know, I'd say it's not romantic. The fans have made it creepier than it should be, but it's psychosexual. There's some psychosexual stuff going on between Will Graham and Hannibal. It's more in the way you would expect a sociopath to do it. You know, it's not cute. It's not, I wouldn't really say it's like should be representative of anything. Hey, psychos, you know, it's LGBTQIA+, you know, they have rights to
P.
No. We're keeping the gate at like don't hurt people. All right. You know, psychos, pedophiles, nah. Stay the fuck out of here.
Like, yeah. You know. There's a place for you, and it's not in the realm.
No, it's not in the realm of society. So yeah. That's I'm planning that very controversial statement there. So yeah, go sign the petition if you're into it. If you're not, you probably tuned out by now, and that's why we're clipping this up. Yeah. So, whew. You ready to keep going? Should we call in a part 2, or because I'm still like fresh as a daisy.
Well, let's go ahead, because we've got some other stuff coming up here. Looks like might as well go ahead and get on through it. Oh, look at that. That looks like some scat if ever seen any.
We're getting into InfoScat here, everybody. That's right, everybody. That's right. InfoScat. Yeah, man, we're getting to the bottom of the real. So you want to hear the real enchilada?
Yeah, we need to see what's going on here.
You want to hear the real enchilada? Well, listen here, Jack. Jack, you listen to me. Jack. All right.
I like your inflection there. Keep going.
The globalists are trying to keep you from knowing about simulation hypothesis. What do you think about that?
We're all a game of Sims, and there's someone out there controlling your every move, only not really. Because you still are a thing, but you're living in another thing.
That's right.
Like a video game.
Basically, but with more consequences. Because who knows what happens when you die here? You know, if you die here, it's like the Matrix, man. You know, what if you get like flushed out? Like when you die, you die. Like that's real shit, you know?
Although the funny thing about that, when people get into the whole simulation theory and whatnot, you know, a lot of people are like, well, I was born with the Matrix. Well, no, actually, it predates the Matrix by almost 100 years. So,
yeah, that's right. Because, you know, it goes back to probably even farther than that. Like, you know, Rene Descartes was the one who hypothesized, what if we're all in a dream? Or what if we're all in the imagination of a deity? You know, just the idea of what if there's something bigger than this that our dimension is within. And this is before they even were like, you know, third dimension or whatever, you know. And then you go on to, you know, like, who else did they say here? Before Nick Bostrom, you know, before all those folks, well, this doesn't get as far into like the background of it, but anyway, Nick Bostrom is the one. Nick Bostrom is the one that popularized this with his hypothesis, which basically states, well, it's more of the way he put it was a thought exercise. He said, if humans or some sort of sentient creature become technologically advanced such that they are able to upload our consciousnesses into a simulation or simply construct a simulation that is indiscernible from the third dimension, the chance is higher that we are in one of those simulations than the prime reality, because there's only one prime reality. But if we can create a reality that's imperceptible from the prime reality, there are probably dozens, hundreds, who knows how far they take it. Like,
right. And that kind of, let's even talk about Total Recall for that matter.
Yeah. Because
a lot of things happen in Total Recall that could even support that thought that predates the Matrix by 20 years.
Oh, absolutely. You know, yeah, the easily. Matrix, you know, the Wachowskis, the thing about the Wachowskis is, I mean, they were geniuses, but they're pop culture blenders. They took a bunch of stuff, or they took from anime, they took from John Woo flicks, they took from simulation theory. They even had Simulacrum. What's that book called? Simulacrum and the Sacred, or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Do that right now. I shouldn't dig into this right now. Let me just fact check this. We talked about this on the Matrix episode of Snide Cinema last season.
But while you're looking into that, so a lot of popular belief is also that, and this is actually more so provable, that it's literally a 50% chance that we're living in an actual reality and 50% chance that we live in a simulation.
Yeah, on or off. It's just like Drake's equation. Drake's equation gets to that point where it's like, you know, it's an algorithm, so you can plug in any number. But if we are one of X amount of beings in this universe, sentient beings in this universe, then it is more probable we're living in a universe with many of things like humanity than there are none, which like you said, if you plug in, one, you get 50%, but if you take one out of, like 1,000, there are billions and trillions and quadrillions of alien beings in this universe that we call the Milky Way.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you know how many solar systems there are like ours just within, the Milky Way, and we haven't even explored outside of the Milky Way. We haven't even gotten to, the tip or we're still like basically right here.
Yeah, that's right.
So, I'm one of those individuals that don't believe that we're it. Yes, we were set up in a perfect circumstance to exist the way we have and the amount of time that our sun has been around and the distance we are. But it's improbable that there aren't other situations similar to this.
Exactly.
As a matter of fact, there is one that one of our not rovers, but I cannot think right now.
Yeah, it is rover, right, on Mars?
No, that's I'm talking about.
One of
they sent out one of those. One it's like a satellite. Yeah, that they sent out there, and it sends back images. And there's a planet that they found that's got a sun and it's got other planets around it. But this particular planet was once a gas giant, and it takes apparently, according to the article I was reading, it takes billions of years for a gas giant to completely be depleted of all of its gases.
Yeah.
And so we've never seen what the core of a gas giant looks like.
True.
Well, now we know what it looks like and what the surface is like.
Oh, I wish you brought me that story. But please tell me.
Well, now this will be something we'll dive further into later.
Okay.
But I'll cut it shorter than what I but there are other planets around it that are similar to other planets in our solar system. So even if, say, this chain of planets with a star are essentially dead, that doesn't mean they always were. And the higher possibility we'll find something there, which would prove that there are other planets out there. There are other sentient beings out there, and we're not alone. Even look at the Black Knight satellite. That's just another example.
Callback.
It's callback, yeah. But that's also something that's, getting attention again, because guess what's still floating around right there?
Yeah.
It's sending a signal to something.
Yeah.
And they know that they can tell that it's transmitting something. They just don't know where it's going.
Exactly. Yeah. So many mysteries like that too. Like I told you, I've been getting more and more into paranormal footage, and it's bringing me closer to the believer end of the spectrum again. For a while, I've always been open-minded and exploring these sorts of things, but I kind of went through my skeptic phase. I've been through my Mulder phase. I've been through my Scully phase and my Mulder phase, and leaning back towards Fox Mulder again, because there's so much unexplainable. There's just so much unexplainable shit, and you can explain away, even if you can explain it again. Going back to these figures, even if you take 1% of the unexplainable shit and be like, that's aliens.
Right. Still, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and go with one of these things. So this will go back to the simulation theory. And one thing that I absolutely love when the people who like to disprove it come out of the woodworks, and they're like, well, here we go. And there's one video that I've come across where there's a vehicle driving across. It's a busy highway, and it stops, like it slammed into an invisible brick wall. There's nothing there, right? Well, the individual finds the video, and a lot of people seem to have missed this, but there is something hanging that you don't see. It's like a wire, and it catches the underneath the bottom of the car, and it pulls in the center of the of the bumper, and basically pulls the car back.
Yeah.
Which, okay, sure, you can explain that one. And a lot of people didn't see it, couldn't figure out what was going on. And the only way the dude did is there's a little thing up in the corner that just dips down right as the car hits. All right, you can explain that. So then how do you explain to me when there are cars moving and the wind is blowing and there's birds just not flying, they're just floating across the sky and then just stop, and everybody else is moving, everything's moving, the planes are moving around it.
And this isn't the only occurrence of this either.
Nope, because you've got it. Sometimes things will even just pop up. Like they found it was, I believe, in Florida, there was a palm tree, and there was the tree here, and one of its limbs was over here, and it was hanging down, not attached to anything at all. Nothing. It's just hanging there. And I mean, it's obvious that it's just hanging there. Or how about the videos where there's obviously no cuts or no breaks or nothing like that. It's been looked at by all these specialists.
They put it through those filters. They put it through those filters where it's like there's no pixelation around. There's like, it's not cut and paste. It's not After Effects.
Yeah, it's real. It's like, okay, how, you know, or the people who just out of nowhere will be walking by and then, oh, well, where'd you come from? You know, and there's a lot of that. Just people just appearing out of nowhere.
It's so much of that. And then, you know, I mean, the cryptids, ghosts, there's you know, and a lot of some of these cryptids that, or they were cryptids and now we know they are like actual, like, you know, creatures and shit. It's wild, man. You know, it's a wild world we live in. And with shit like that, it makes you even more like you said, like, is this a glitch? Is this a program, an update? Is this some DLC? Is this a, you know how in Fallout there, I think it was New Vegas, you could put it into not Stranger Things mode. I don't know why I went to that, but it was like something like there was like a mode you could put it in where like you were more likely to run into strange occurrences. It was like strange wastes. Maybe it was strange wastes.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So stuff like that. It's like maybe, you know, I mean, I'm not out here like straight up, like, you know, like AC said earlier, you know, it's not like we're like, oh, this is all fake, or like they're NPCs. Who knows if they're NPCs? Honestly, it's more likely, again, like a Matrix situation, or, you know, again, there are examples before that where it's like arcade style, we're all separate, hooked up to separate machines, right? But it's, you know, we're all still interfacing with each other's consciousnesses.
Well, if you think about it, you know, a lot of things that I've read, it's if you're conscious and you're aware, then therefore you are real, right? Mm-hmm. So, like,
I think
there's
therefore
always been,
I am. I think therefore I am.
So, you know, it goes back to that concept: you die in your dream, you die in real life. Well, that's part of your brain saying, "Hey, it's shutting down," right? So, even if it were a simulation or whatever, it's still real, regardless to how, you know, how it is and isn't. It's still real, even if you're not, say, sitting in a chair right now watching a computer screen. You're still sitting in a chair watching a computer screen.
Prove me wrong, Silent Bob.
I couldn't have said it better myself. So, you know, there's that, you know, and but maybe there are NPCs. Have you seen those YouTube, those NPC videos?
Yes.
Where it's mostly mentally ill people. Come on. It's mostly mentally ill people, but they're still hilarious videos. So that's the thing, man. You know, it's like a lot of these things I like to think of as more of a thought exercise, you know, like does the tree fall in the woods and no one's around? You know, eventually we did prove that yes, it does, but that was a thought exercise of the time. This is our thought exercise of this generation. Like, how much of this is real? And you know, my line, well, the line that I was following more when I was a skeptic, and that was more simulation in the corporate sense, where or in the sort of societal sense, where we're all living in holograms and prisms of our own creation with the hyper reality that we're interfacing with, whether it's virtual reality, augmented reality, the internet. It's all in your job now, baby. Like, you know, everything's been gamified. Everything's been fucking, you know, the tribal way of thinking lives on through the corporate way of thinking, and these corporate facades, these commercialist facades, including the one here I've created. It's making reality more subjective than ever, and it's becoming more subjective every year. But that makes it ever more important to remember what is real. These goddamn smudges on my wall from this fucking chair, those are real. Those are as real as
and
you,
the
baby.
other thing, you know, when you really want to get down and into it, I mean, you think about perspective, and people can only see, hear, touch their own perspective. You can't touch from anybody else's perspective. So, you know, you can't really tell someone else what is and isn't real to them, because no matter what, to them, whatever's happening is real. It's just like when you want to talk about like psychological delusions.
Yeah.
You know, you can say that you don't hear voices and you don't see things, but the fact is they do. Does that make it any less real?
Exactly.
Does that make it feel like they're not in, you know, danger, or somebody's not telling them something? Well, to them it is, and they are.
Yeah, that's what you do in treatment too. That's what you do in treatment. You just go along with it, and you're like, sure. I mean, it's like, you know, I used to have bouts, and I still have like night terrors from time to time, but I used to have bouts of like sleep paralysis, and you know, no amount of reasoning with that subconscious version of myself can say for a fact, like nothing's going to think it away. You know, I can get to a point eventually of rationalizing. I'm like, oh yeah, there's no way this is real. But and then when I wake out of it, when I stir out of it, it's such a relief that it's not real. And I couldn't imagine living with that being my reality, you know. And those people that go out and like fucking hurt people because they stumble across this shit, I mean, they're going to do it. Again, it's like drugs. They're going to find some way there inevitably.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not inevitably, but there's a high, if there's a chance, there's a high percentage chance that they're going to do whatever they're going to do. Something's going to facilitate it. It's just, these are dangerous ideals. I always like to remind people.
Yeah, that's true. Because I mean, both of us have watched the documentary on the simulation theory, and there is an individual in there who, you know, watched The Matrix, and that became the individual's life, and he ended up taking some other people's lives and ended up regretting it. You know.
Yeah. And I mean, that guy, you know, that individual, they grew up with like a lot of abuse and a lot of trauma and a lot of, you know, just, and then when, you know, so again, you know, there was a predisposition in a nurture sense, and perhaps there was even a predisposition in a natural sense. And if it wasn't simulation theory. It could have been, Christianity or some cults or KFC, methamphetamines. Who knows? You see this sort of shit, all walks of life, all trails of life. So that's that. And there are also other yeah, so a lot of the, again, criticisms get down to like sort of his offshoot theories. He's kind of one of those, not one-hit wonders, but simulation theory is kind of his big bag. And he has all these like, when you see these physicists and whatnot get into these fields, they want to get into, okay, well, if we are headed this route within our own reality, if we are going to start creating simulations and shit, let's figure out how to make it work. So there are a lot of like with his anthropic reasons of like, how do we program this? How do we, and
it's interesting because there's more theories about it and adding to it recently that I've seen. And I think we've actually had conversations outside of, the Snide thing about some of this stuff about like the time travel theories where, they've been able to progress enough to create the whole simulation theory and it become a reality. And they've traveled back in time and became the Egyptian gods or quote unquote gods. And that's how they got the technology they had, because they actually had some pretty advanced technology back then, especially for the time period.
Absolutely. And just reasoning, just like very advanced reasoning for people that were doing mummification and thought the thinking was in the heart, you see stuff like that. And then at the other on the other side, like actually getting a lot of astronomy right, and like some ingenious engineering,
which I don't want to say these people who are saying, the time travel, because the guy that actually said a lot of this stuff, he's a little kooky, but it does add a little bit of credibility to it, and it makes you wonder if he's taking from what they did actually know then and what they showed and what they did and just kind of bending it to fit what he's saying.
Sure. Because like you see all sorts of offshoot, theories, but at any rate, and then you see theories that we're living some sort of historical reenactment, like
which is where I was heading with it. Yeah. So it's like the repeating theory.
Exactly. So in 2003 proposed the trilemma, the simulation argument, which says the fraction of human level civilizations that reach a post-human stage, that is one capable of running high fidelity ancestor simulations, is very close to zero. So that's it's one, that's all right. This is all real, guys. Real. But we're still going to create a simulation. The fraction of post-human civilizations that are interested in running simulations of their evolutionary history or variations thereof is very close to zero. Okay. Or the fraction of all people with our kind of experiences that are living in a simulation is very close to one. So, and then, like, again, like people like try to like split hairs in this shit, it's merely philosophical. It's like, sure, but it's
right, because there's no way to prove or disprove it.
Exactly. And the wildest one, check out the wildest one I've thought of is, what if the ones creating the simulation aren't human at all?
That's another very honestly believable scenario too.
Check it out. I've been working on the Vulcan Theory.
The Vulcan Theory.
It kind of wraps everything up in one big enchilada. All right?
All right.
The aliens are the interdimensional travelers. Okay?
Okay.
They're actually light beings or beings made of a matter beyond what we perceive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Okay.
They come here and they fucks with us sometimes. And because they're able to like project a third dimensional hologram, they can be whatever. The biggest tradition was to look like with pointy ears and pointy nose, but very human, right? So that they could be like us, but also distinguish themselves as different. Sometimes they were the fae, you know, they were fairies. Sometimes they were elves. Sometimes they were like pixies, you know. But they created this third dimensional simulation, but it's not one concrete goal, you know, just like humans, just like the Illuminati, just like fucking animals, they all got different personalities. They all got different goals. They all got different, you know, some of them are angels, some of them are demons, some of them are monsters, some of them, you know, give us blessings and are great, you know. Some of them just want to have a good time and get fucked up, you know. And they treat this shit like a reality show, you know. And some of them think there's like a greater purpose, and maybe, you know, it is a little bit of reenactment in a way, you know. It's kind of like some fucking Scientology shit, some like Xenu. It's Xenu mixed with Vishnu, the way I see it. Xenu mixed with Vishnu, the way I see it. You know. Vulcan Theory.
Live long and prosper.
That's what we say, and have a good time. And stay snide.
Always stay snide.
But it's not over yet. That's probably where I'll
it's not over.
Punch InfoScat, though. No, but go ahead. Go ahead. If you have more.
Oh, you want to talk about simulation theory and get into the complexities of my views on it? That could take a long time, a very long time, because then you'll get into the whole interdimensional webbing, the timeline skews.
Well, keep in mind, this isn't the only episode. This is just the first episode. We get into time travel episodes and everything, man. And like,
I know it, but it all comes back together is the thing.
That's the thing. That's why I like that Vulcan Theory shit. Like, it's like that's some shit I've had like on like drugs, and then watching Star Trek, where I'm like, Star Trek, what if Vulcans were elves? And I've looked, and like no one's done that yet. They're bound to get there. They're bound to get there. Like, because I mean, I think that was like some subtext, and maybe it's written somewhere in their program Bible, like this is always to be implied. And
well, you know, there's even some stuff that happens now that can actually support what you're saying there, because even if you go out into there's places in like California, South America, even places in Asia where you see and it's every day, certain parts of the day, you always see there's like beings in the sky as the sun comes up all the time, every day.
Beings? And like the people.
Yeah, like the
and
people.
And some people think like they think they're Jesus sometimes, and sometimes they think they're like.
Yeah, or the one in California is like there's like 3 of them.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they're like the dusters. We actually did a Snide show and talked about those guys.
Okay.
But that would support what you're saying. That makes sense.
That's true.
You know,
that's true. That's a good point.
That may be a reach, But you know what? I think that does support what you're saying.
Thanks, man. But yeah, motherfucking Vulcan Theory, dude. So that concludes that little segment there.
For now.
For now. So my musical solution today, which unfortunately I didn't have pulled up. Oh wait, yes I did. I'm such a silly goose. Such a silly goose sometimes.
Oh, that's silly goose.
I like to have a silly goose time, but only if I'm having the silly goose time. Oh wait, I guess I could have kept that up there. All up on Snide Studio, Spotify. So what I have today for musical solution is a little different from what we normally do. Next time, AC, I would like to unveil some of your music next week, next Friday, if you have that ready to go on that pamphlet. And today, though, and I feel like this would be good filler on these sorts of times. Mike Judge, Lord Figure. Yo, this whole album right here, this Justice album. I'm sorry, I just had to go back. I looked up and I saw it. I'm scrubbing through too fast now. I can't even keep up with myself. I think I got messed up off those binaural beats that we tried earlier. I think I'm having flashbacks. Oh, you're gonna have to carry me through. Carry me out of here, man.
Oh, jump into my arms. Smack into the computer, flop like a fucking fish. What are you doing? That was a joke.
I can't take it no more. God, if you listen, help! I'm impotent, man. Get away from me, bitch!
I've been waiting for that one. I've been waiting. I love that one.
Doctor said I need a backiotomy.
All right. So anyway, if you love all this shit, folks, you can find us on Snide Studios on Facebook. Unfortunately, Twitter's a kind of dead. There's a little Freudian slip there, sir. The Twitters are dead since Zaddy Musk, again, shouts out to Grimes, took over. We're not really a huge fan of the Zucks either, but we got stuff on Insta too. And if you're here, you know about the YouTube, but please like, subscribe, fucking, hit that notification shit.
Ding.
We got anything else? What am I missing here?
I don't know. I think you nailed it. If only there was like a ball peen sound that would have gone with that. That would have been Magic.
I know. I need to get you linked on it. So you can help with these. Oh, shit.
The sound.
So, additionally, if you're one of the elite few, you're out here like,
I am your emperor.
Who wants to sponsor our endeavors, reach out to us on that aforementioned Facebook. That's kind of where the messages are most active. We got an email address out there floating around. It may or may not work. If you'd like to endorse one of our shows, what we got going on with our website, at the bottom of the homepage on this website here, we try not to be too flashy about it, but you will find a GoFundMe link, and that will take you to our GoFundMe page. And we're looking to reach an overall goal, but we've got some steps in there. I'm looking to rearrange sort of the stepping on there. But that's why look to us on Messenger. I mean, we know there are angels out there and shit, but look, we don't ask too many questions. Just hit us up. We're cool, and we're looking for up to 300K to get the office set up with payrolls, and not just for us. I would even tell you like how much is in the budget. It's not much on our end of that 300K, because this is mainly a community project. We have projects bigger than Snide Studios. I'm not getting into on here. But yeah, this is to get office space and get people in the community hired to, help us, create this art. I mean, if you go and listen to the audio shows, you'll see the potential there. You'll hear the potential there, and that's really all I'm going to say about that this week. Do you have anything to add to that, AC?
Well, with that being said, too, as far as content goes, if you really want to be involved or just give us ideas, that would be awesome, because we really encourage, interaction as well as we want to give, So give us suggestions, because we want to know what people want to see. We don't just want to be putting random stuff out there too. And, you're not going to build an audience, a fan base, or even a network without communication. So communicate with us all around.
Exactly. Comments, suggestions. We have a Discord that we're looking to get some people to help moderate, because I screwed something up on there. But yeah, we're always looking to collaborate with people, interesting folks to get interviews with. If you have a business you're looking to promote, if you have a project, a creative project, if you're looking to write, we're looking for writers. For now, again, it's pro bono type shit. But it's all for credits. Voice actors. We're always looking for voice actors too. Because again, until we get the budget for some video type stuff, it's mostly in the realm of audio. This is kind of the extent of like what we can do with the video in studio right now. Eventually have AC over in the chair over there, or other co-hosts, and put a camera on them. But we're looking to make some sketches. So, if you got some locations, some good locations to film at, that are good and quiet, outdoor type locations, indoor type locations, and you want to do that for credit, be like, yo, check out this place, that kind of thing. We're looking for all sorts of collaboration. That was a good note, AC, to bring that up,
Plug.
Excellent butt plug. So, let's go ahead and wrap this up and spank it on the bottom, as they would say at Stuff You Should Know.
I spanked it.
Good job there. Excellent.
That sounded a lot more creepy and dirty than I thought it would.
It often does. especially where you're involved. No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
Joe.
Don't fuck with me, balls.
Fucking Ricky.
So, yeah. And it's a great way to stay in shape.
And there's number 2.
All right, folks. So, again, check us out, SnideStudios.com. If you got the money, go fund me. If you got the time, check out the shows. If you got suggestions, hit us up on all the platforms. Someone will see something somewhere. And most importantly, stay snide. Check out the shows. If you got suggestions, hit us up on all the platforms.